What's up, guys? This is
Jake.
Julia,
And Rob.
and we are the Foxies, and we are hanging out with Rob on Front Row Live.
I'm super excited to be sitting down here with you guys because I first caught wind of the band with Anti-socialite, and like that song, like it was one of those songs where it was like, this speaker is gonna be on blast. Like I am cranking the sound and I'm listening to it over and over again. So super catchy music that you guys are creating. But I kind of want to talk about this song in particular. Like, what initially kickstarted that writing process for this song, and what was that process like for you guys?
For Headsweat?
For anti.
Anti-socialite, that was a song that we wrote with Sean Silverman and his brother Alex Silverman. We were in LA, and he was like, I have this really cool title called Anti-socialite, and I was like, well, that's literally what I am. I'm an extroverted introvert, so Me too. Yeah. I literally was like, this connects with me, and the song, when you have a good song when it starts to write itself. Mm-hmm. And that's exactly what happened with this song. And then we decided to release it when the hit, not planning to, it just, the hit. And then we were like, well, this falls in line with when we're releasing stuff and everybody's antisocial. So here's Anti-socialite.
And I wanted to talk about this song in particular first, just because I feel like it hasn't gotten the attention yet because of the time frame of when it was released initially. So I feel like it's a song that still needs to get put out there in front of ears because it's such an incredible single.
Thank you.
Now, as we move forward, you guys are about to drop your new single, Headsweat. So I want to I'm curious, did the songs that you guys released during these last 2 years, Anti-socialite included, did that kind of pave the way for this new material that you guys are working on right now and this new upcoming debut album?
Yeah, definitely. It was like a moment of we were kind of feeling each other out as new members of the band, and just in general what our sound was. And that EP was definitely a really great stepping stone of the sonic direction. It was because this new record is definitely us, full circle of what we sound like as a group. So yeah, I definitely
Mature version, it's like that. We had that single and that album or that EP, Growing Up Is Dead, and that's who we were at the time. But then we finally had those 2 years of to really dig deep and find out who we were as people, who we were as artists, and who we were as a band. Right. And we found that through songwriting, and that journey, you can hear that journey in the upcoming album that we have. And you can hear it in Headsweat too, our next single.
Yeah. And as far as Headsweat goes, that creative process for that song, I believe Silverman is still part of the team for the co-writing team, right? So how different is that chemistry now that you guys have so many other songs prior to Headsweat with them?
Sure. Well, we did Headsweat with Andrew Petrov, and Alex and Sean did a couple things on our album, but that was another quick one. We had Headsweat completely written an hour after we met Andrew. It was really Julia and I rocked up there, and she had this title, and we were like, I wonder how you would sing it, and we came up with the chorus, and it was like, oh my God. Another quick one, I think, for sure.
It's a song that is very, you're taking a word, Headsweat, 2 words, putting it together, the most unattractive combination possible, but making it a very sexy tune. So, yeah, that's kind of what that song is about.
At the same time, that wordplay that you guys have with your music, this song in particular, how do you come up with this kind of stuff? Because you don't think of anything sexy when you listen to Headsweat or Sweat in general.
Exactly.
But you made it happen. So what was that process like?
I think we have to kind of push each other a little bit. And it on any given day, depending on whether we're recording or writing or trying to figure something out for our live show, there's not necessarily a method to it, but there's sort of a nudginess to what we do. So Julia had the word, and I thought that was kind of cool. And a lot of times it's like, well, no, I think it'd be cool if you did this over that part, and then what if we did this over that part? And on a day like Headsweat or Anti-socialite, thankfully most of the first ideas really worked. There was probably a couple spots in each song where we really had to kind of dig for it, but what she said about how quickly it came, that's kind of when you know. We have songs that have taken a while, but the good ones a lot of times are like boom.
It's also too just kind of like what I'm going through at the time, and like if I'm in a very interesting situation, whether it be like love situation or just mental situation, that's usually when the songs come easily. I can write a song any day, but when I have that life experience or that day experience, that's when you get the songs that just write themselves because I'm not thinking too much about it. And Headsweat was one of them.
And during that process, like the cadences, which I love the cadences that you guys have on your music.
Thank you.
How does that impact drum wise? When does the drums come in? When do the drums come in? Do they come in during the writing process? You start kind of thinking about it, or is that something that you guys figure out once the song is written and you guys are in the rehearsal studio or in the studio, like trying to figure out the track?
Well, I mean, you kind of nailed it. They're like the brains of the songwriting world. Like these two really are the writers, you know. I'm not really in that first space, but the drums do kind of come alive. We get a studio day. The drums are kind of built in the original songwriting session with the producer they're with, or Jake if he's producing that day. And then we kind of put that Foxyism on there, the Rob parts where you're like, oh, this is what I would do. And then we kind of shift it, and the song doesn't really change much, but it has more of like what I would do over something. Yeah. That's kind of what gives it that Foxy thing. So it's just, I always say, like, whenever we write a song, when Julia sings on it, it's kind of Foxy's because it's Julia's voice. Yeah. It's the same with me. When you hear me play, you're like, oh, that's totally a Foxy part. Like, right. That's what Rob would play. So yeah, exactly. You know.
Not Rob.
This Rob.
Not this Rob.
Well, hey, you wanna Rob squared.
There we go.
Squared.
Done. We're starting a duo.
That was so funny. That was actually my gaming duo during the R squared. It's Rob squared. So it's full circle.
There we go. There we go. Now, another thing that I loved about this track was the chants that you guys have in it. Because not only is it incredible to listen to, again, with the radio cranked or the speakers cranked, but also in a live setting, it allows the opportunity for your fans to sing along with you guys. Yeah. Is this something that you guys came into this writing process with the idea of it in mind, or is this something that kind of revealed itself as you guys were writing?
What do you think, Jake? I mean,
well,
you were saying yes, and I was saying no.
I was saying maybe. What about you, Rob?
I mean, I'm gonna go on the fact that there are kind of anthematic moments in a lot of the songs, like Anti-socialite, Headsweat, Hey Dude being a song on there, Overrated. There's very like chanty moments where people could really dive in, and I guess it kind of sneaks out though.
Yeah. Well, I think it depends. That definitely, to your point, Jules, it was definitely not an impetus for that track. What if we created this party song about wanting somebody and blah, 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 blah. Like that was not, it rarely starts from somewhere that calculated with us. But I will say, I think we made a large portion of this album, just the three of us. And I think that couldn't have happened without something like the forced us to just create our stuff all the time. But I feel really lucky, if I could talk about Sean and Alex Silverman, I feel really lucky that we got to work really closely with them on Growing Up Is Dead, because there were so many little nuggets of like, that's the sound moment, that's the sound right there, that was helpful to see, like, that's the sound. Stand in front of this mic, and this is how far away I stand from Julia to make sure it sounds like a gang, but not, I mean, the song's called Anti-socialite. It shouldn't sound like too many people, you know what I mean? So I think there were so many little tricks, guitar-wise, drum-wise, synth-wise, songwriting-wise, that when we got to start writing this record, it wasn't necessarily there from the beginning of the song, but it was like, what if we did that gang vocal thing that we do? Yeah. We did it on the last project.
I think it's just kind of ingrained in us now. Like,
right.
I mean, we know what sounds good to us and what we like, and we like this all-inclusive sound, and we like every song to sound like a party, you know? And, I mean, that's kind of how we want our shows to be, too. And our friend base. We don't say fans. Hate that word. Friend base. It's a party all the time. And, I mean, what better way to push that is to put that in your music. Right. So.
In that moment, you drop the Discord link right there. Join the Discord. We're literally active in Discord all the time, so come hang.
Now, in saying that, though, like, because you do have a point with, like, Anti-socialite having the chant but not sounding like there's too many people involved, because then it's an oxymoron, right? But, like, that's what I kind of liked about the new song, that with Anti-socialite, I do get that moment where I want to sing along, like I'm an anti-socialite, you know.
Yeah, Rob, put up top.
I'll invite my friends.
To the party in my head.
Yeah, I like it. But at the same time, like with this new track, you give us these chants where like I do feel like I'm at a party with friends singing along to my favorite band on stage. Like that was the vibe that I got. And then with that music video as well, like it just full circle. So that creative process, especially with you drum wise, like I feel like that's where most of the challenge is, like making sure that the drums are not too heavy, but at the same time, like you're giving us this like great cadence, great tempo. So it's like not overbearing.
Well, we definitely spend a lot of time in the studio, like Jake and I, and definitely Julia, where we're sitting there. A lot of this stuff could be recorded in the songwriting session. So, like, we had a few songs that the vocals were done the day they, like, wrote the song because the vocals were just so good. But there's definitely a drum day where we go in and we're really dialing in parts and trying things. And it's nice to be in Nashville and working with the studios we get to work with. Go Sienna, our people at Round Hill, we love you so much. But like to be able to be vulnerable in that moment and take risks, try new drum parts, try new things, and we definitely take that luxury, that time to really develop what the song needs, not the parts. Because I'm a drummer. Trust me, I love flashy stuff. But there's that moment where you're like, okay, that doesn't really call for it. Right. But then you want that one song where you're like, oh, well, I'm gonna put a little flashy fill in here. Let's do this. So yeah, like. We definitely write appropriately for the song. So
yeah. And at the same time, like the vulnerability aspect, especially when you're when you're wearing the producer hat, like I feel like it's different, like being vulnerable with an outside producer as opposed to a producer that's in the band. So what is that process like between the three of you? And like, are you guys too comfortable together to the point where like too much gets spilled, or is it the other way around?
Well, I'm sorry. I think it's a very nice balance, and it's taken us a very long time to find that balance. Yeah. And honestly, if it weren't for we probably wouldn't have had the time to figure that balance out. So it's really nice. I mean, we know what hat needs to be worn where and who needs to wear it. I hope that answers your question because I zoned out for a second. But
it's funny because like
back to Rob.
Well, Jake and I have also recorded some other artists in Nashville together where we work in the same kind of atmosphere where he's producing and I'm drumming, and the balance of the Foxies really have helped that, where we just know that thing, like I'll go play a part and then Jake's like, oh, he'll like elaborate on it, and it's kind of like a felt thing. And it's nice because it's like you're working with a producer that you worked with for years. So in that aspect, it's really cool because we know each other so well that you're like, oh, do that thing. And then you're like, oh, when it's somebody else you don't know, you're like, what's that thing?
Yeah. I almost feel like that thing that you described happens more on the outside projects because we know each other as bandmates. I can't look at this as something anywhere near as what it looks like when I produce with somebody else. Like these are my equals. Like we're not employed in different jobs here. My approach even across the board tends to be to speak second. If he's got an idea, like he should, and like what she said, as we've gotten better just at doing it, if she has a preference, like what's the worst? The worst thing that could happen is we'll try it and it isn't the vibe. But a lot of times, like, you're the singer of the band, like if you have a vocal idea, like maybe we should just get it down, and then so it tends to be, I mean the part
is not an ego thing, right?
No, I feel more the producer when I have the files afterwards.
Yeah.
When we're in the studio, it's like playtime. Yeah. It's playtime.
And like we all have those moments where it's like, well, let's try this. And at first, when we first started playing together and writing together and recording together, it was very much like, fine, let's try this. But now it's like, actually, we all have really dope ideas and we all have really shit ideas too. So am I allowed to say that? Okay, cool. So it's like, we gotta try it out and see what happens. And it's like chemistry class every single day.
Yeah, it's just fun to mess around.
Done. Now, lastly, with this new single, Sweatband.
Yes.
Dude, I wish wish I had a sweatband right now. I'm really hot.
See what you guys. I know. I'm starting to sweat right now. I need a sweatband. Whew.
Band sweat.
Band sweat. Head
Oh
sweat.
my God.
No
With the
sweat.
new.
Toe sweat. All the above.
Okay, he took it. You can't beat that one.
All gross. All across the board.
With the new single, what would you say was like the biggest challenge that you guys felt you had, whether it was in the writing process, the recording process, or the finalizing process?
Oh, the artwork process.
Oh,
Honestly,
that's
no, writing it super easy. Like we said, it wrote itself. Producing it produced itself.
Yeah,
Like
it was
just
easy.
the being happened. The artwork was a death sentence. That's all I can say.
Took a while.
That's about it.
You know,
I
there's,
see it all in her face.
Yeah.
That's all we got.
but we found something, and we got the thing. But it went through many metamorphoses when we did it. But we're very thankful that we have the artwork that we have now. It just took us a while, and it took us some bridges to cross and some bridges to set fire to.
For me, the hardest.
That is
part-
dope.
There's the album, though. The album.
That is dope.
For me, the hardest part was I had to edit the vocals to the bridge to make it radio friendly, and so I wanted to make sure it didn't sound like some high school kid had just learned how to mess with waveforms for the first time. But
You got to do a better job at your job, right?
I know, but it also kind of has to sound kind of silly and elementary, so that took me a couple hours.
Really kind of the way you fit me.
Well, I guess because we just saw what we just saw right now, this will be the last question. What's the deal with this album? Are you guys already done with it, or is it something that you guys are still working on?
What? Jesus?
The album is done.
The album is done, and it took us 2 years to realize we were writing an album. And thankfully, we have picking the songs. At first, it was hard, but yeah, there were so many. I mean, spend 2 years in a publishing deal, writing songs every day almost. So songs will go to Song Mountain, but the ones that are meant to be your next baby will resurface, and that's exactly what happened. Yeah, we're proud of it. We just got the artwork done. We just got the masters back. It is called Who Are You Now, Who Are You Then? And you can find that line in one of our songs called Good Try on the album.
Favorite song? My favorite song.
It's your
My favorite song.
Is there a date for this yet?
September 23rd.
Good job. Uh-huh.
I don't remember the dates, but if you even ask me my own album title, I might be like, who? Question mark in the middle, I think.
right.
No, I'm just kidding. And yeah.
We're proud of it. We're very proud of it. I mean, it's this whole journey of who we were when we started writing the album and we didn't even know it to where we are now. And I think people can really take to that and find, you know, this certain sense of inclusivity. You know what I'm saying? Certain sense of friendship with this album.
Well, and the songs, I feel like kind of there's sort of two sides to them lyrically, where they're very, very explicitly coming of age, or they're like very specific to a one-off experience or something. Which, I mean, in some ways, I don't mean to cheapen the title, like so many albums are like that, but to us it was like these songs are about one of two things. This is either a really specific thing that happened, mostly with Julia, or it's like a comment on what it means to grow you know, and be grown.
Well, the cool thing too is like not only is this album a coming of age just in your next lifetime, but the album artwork pays homage to our first EP, Oblivion. So they kind of look similar, and we were like, well, let's just do this. I mean, it's all kind of Easter eggy in a way. And you know, like what Jake was saying, half of the album is very party out, like have fun, talk about, you know, love and stuff. And then the other half is very deep, sit in your room, it's raining outside, and you don't really know what to do. So
I'm looking forward to that. So thank you guys for hanging out with me.
Rob,
Thank you for creating the music that you do. I'm a new fan, but I've been digging into that
You're a
Spotify.
friend. Don't say fan.
I'm a new friend, and I've been digging into that Spotify, so I'm super excited that I also get to catch you guys live. Although I am a little disappointed that you are not wearing the red pants.
You saw that video of me?
Pants though.
I'm a friend. I'm seeing everything.
It was so good. My pants that I wore at
When summer never died.
the recording session.
What had happened was
What happened was my pants are too squeaky. The squeaky ones? You talking
Yeah.
about? Yeah, they're too
what
loud.
are they, like latex or something?
I don't even know.
I got this.
I don't even.
There we go.
They're fruit by the foot.
Oh, that's what it is. Either somebody ate it or they melted.
Yeah, they're strawberry fruit by the foot, been preserved for a very long time, stretched to pants.
If you like them, you will taste a schnozberry.
All right, and that is a different interview.
Cut it
The
out.
schnozberry tastes like schnozberries.
Well, I'm excited to do this again. I can't wait to reunite with you guys again, and I can't wait for you guys to do a full-blown U.S. tour and back in the States. So you guys be sure to check out the Foxies. New single is out by the time you guys are watching this. It's called
Headsweat.
Thanks for watching on Front Row Live.